Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Nexus Gaming Series. I am Jay Zahn, and we've got a Division D East match coming up for you here tonight. And once again, I've got Rabid Penguin with me, sticking with me 2 days in a row, buddy. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, you're welcome. You might have to start paying me or something.
I know you can have 10% of my NGS casting salary.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
That's why I get the big bucks. No. But yeah, we've got business. Okay, well, hold on. I gotta get this ready because they requested it, and I'm gonna do my best to accommodate it. We've got the home team on the left tonight is gonna be Business of Ferrets, CCS9. What is this? A crossover episode? Heretofore after known as Ferrets. Going up against Checkbook Bush Gangstas. Heretofore after known as Gangstas.
I can work with that.
Alright. Ferrets on the left, Gangsters on the right. It could be worse. Get you in here though, Rab. It looks like the lobby is filling up fast. Let's take a look at our map picks and map bans here. So it was Gangstas winning the toss. They elected for first pick. We had Ferrets banning out Volskaya and Dragonshire, and the Gangstas responding with Cursed Hollow and Battlefield of Eternity for the bans. And so we've got Ferrets taking us to Tomb of the Spider Queen here for map number 1. What do you think, Rabid? What do you usually like to focus on when you go into draft for Tomb?
I think somebody told me that wave clear is good on this map, so that's generally something I try
Hey, I think that was me.
Probably. So, having at least an offlaner who can soak reasonably well, and at least one person in your 4-man who's got really good wave clear, if not a couple. But beyond that, sometimes it's helpful to have somebody who can do the camp, the bruiser camp quickly. Maiev was popular for a while for that reason. Some other heroes are pretty good at taking that too, so if you've got somebody who's good at getting that camp out, that can make your life a little bit easier too.
All right, well, in we go for game number 1 of this best of 3 series. Tomb of the Spider Queen is going to be the map. And first ban, first ban, going to go over to Check Bush Gangstas. So, any particular heroes that you like to try to take out of the equation here on Tomb?
Well, we just talked about wave clear, and Johanna's kind of top of the meta right now, so this is probably her best map for that reason. It gives your tank access to good wave clear and kind of empowers your rotation. So I would expect that to either be picked or banned, kind of from the top here. Blaze also is good on this map for that reason, so I can understand why they may want to ban that if they're not planning on playing it.
Yeah, typically going to be the responsibility of the second draft team to take Joe off the board, but they are going to start with Rhaegar, one of the strongest healers in the meta. Brightwing doesn't get quite as much value here with the global, so not surprised to see them focusing on Rhaegar, who does have the wave clear that you want for this map.
Yep, Rhaegar's another good pick on this map for that reason, and he also makes it really easy to pick up that bruiser camp, like I was talking about as well.
Yeah, any DPS and Rhaegar can very easily get that camp for sure. Speaking of wave clear, KT going to be the ban out here for the Gangstas.
Yep, good wave clear and access to CC on a backline assassin, which is relatively uncommon, especially on a basic cooldown. So depending on your draft, KT can add a lot or become problematic if you're looking for kind of a dive-heavy, clumpy comp.
Final ban of this first set coming out, and Genji going to be the ban out. Not one of the more popular heroes here, so that's got me thinking that might be more of a focused target ban coming out from the Ferrets.
Yeah, that's a fair assumption, I think, but leaves Johanna open and makes sense that they would pick that up with their first pick.
Yeah, so it makes me wonder if the Ferrets are maybe planning something in particular to focus on the Johanna. We saw that in one of our games last night.
Yeah, I think leaving it open, you kind of have to assume that they'll take it. So I would hope that kind of their draft in response to that is prepared to deal with Johanna in some way, or at least kind of mitigate some of her strengths.
Yeah, we see a lot of silence abilities going on the Johanna to try to counter her, but we do see Anduin's going to be the first pickup, so very strong ability to save one target with that leap of faith, good sustain healing, and brings that chastise. Meanwhile, Leo, he brings that silence at level 20, one of the strongest heroics in the game with that buried alive entomb. And just in general, great wave clear and presence in the bot lane.
Yep. And with the Entomb even at level 10 is sort of a soft counter to Johanna in that she can't walk out of the Entomb with the Unstoppable necessarily, and so it's one way to kind of contain her and prevent her from escaping. Anduin's kind of an easy counter to Entomb, so picking it up with that to prevent the pull from saving someone inside of it makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah, meanwhile, damage coming out here for the Gangstas, Li Ming and Vala, so decent poke coming from the Li Ming. She's not necessarily the best wave clear mage here, though, Rabbit.
Yeah, and it's interesting pairing her with a Johanna. Johanna does have an ability that can clump up the other team if they're already relatively close together, but she doesn't have a short CC cooldown, which is helpful to set up the Li Ming combos. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what value they're going to look to play off of that in the early game versus looking for the engages at level 10 with the Blessed Shield.
See, all I'm learning from this draft, Rabbit, is that Li Ming can be used on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Therefore, I expect you to draft it for me every game.
It's an interesting takeaway. I'm going to say it's the correct one, but...
Yep, there's the variant ban out here from Gangstas. Ariel also banned out on the other side. Of course, Vala, a very good Ariel battery. So they're going to do a little bit of that healer choke and try to prevent that combo. But Varian, you had mentioned that Anduin was a really good tool for pulling. So with that off the board, I could see why Gangstas wanted to get Varian out of this one.
Yeah, he's also pretty good into Johanna, has an easy way to deal with her shield if he takes the shield breaker talent. And the single target point and click CC that he brings is pretty good into the Li Ming and the Vala. So very good into what they're showing so far. I think that's a good ban.
Yeah, we got Diablo and Sylvanas coming out for the side of the Ferrets. And the final two picks for the Gangstas, they're going to round out their comp with Dahaka and Whitemane. So Dahaka does have that global presence, not as big a thing here on Tomb, where the gap between these lanes are relatively small, but he does have a good amount of wave clear, and it's pretty hard to gank in that bottom lane, so usually those gems are pretty safe on him down there.
Yep, a lot of bushes too to get that move speed buff kind of in between the lanes.
There you go. And yeah, there's the wave clear pickup for the Ferrets as Jaina comes out. There's really no hero that can clear a wave quite as quickly as Jaina. Definitely one of the more efficient soakers, and with the top mid rotation, can be very easy to get that initial globe quest done with her.
Yep, definitely a good map to collect globes for any hero really, but for Jaina it's important to get that done to give you access to the better mana regeneration as well as the damage bonus.
Absolutely. All right, well, that completes our draft as we're heading in here to game number 1. Any early predictions here, Rabbit? Is there anything in particular you like about these two drafts?
I think for Ferrets, they've got a relatively straightforward draft, kind of your standard, double range, good tank, good off lane, solid healer. It will be kind of interesting to see how Gangstas is able to deal with the Diablo prior to level 16 with the Manticore and the Vala. There isn't a lot of threat to him, I think, up front. But they also have the Whitemane, which I feel like a lot of teams may not be super familiar about playing against. So it'll be interesting to see how Ferrets decides to play the team fights and if they target the Whitemane or one of the other heroes for Gangstas.
Uh-oh. like we may have a drop here.
Oh, ball is back.
All right, what's the over/under on them doing a countdown despite the fact the game hasn't even started yet? What do you think?
I think just for the sake of rules, I think we're all rule followers here. We're gonna count it down.
there it is. There it is. The countdown is on. All right, well, let's go ahead and get on in here for game number 1. Tomb of the Spider Queen on the left. We've got the business of Ferrets. We've got Tie-Dye Tights going to be playing the Anduin. We've got Mazamed on the Leoric. I'm a Burb, going to be on the Diablo. Vince Noir playing Jaina. And Ulysses going to be playing that Sylvanas.
All right, and on the right side we've got Check Bush Gangstas, Icon on the Dahaka, Mercs on the Johanna, Katsuya on the White Mane, Ja on the Li Ming, and Funko on the Bala.
I saw that in draft and I was like, oh, I'm so glad they're on the right. This is good for me.
Good pull by the Anduin to save Ulysses. Good tongue by Dahaka as well.
Yeah, big damage coming out here early from the Gangstas. Got to be careful to check those bushes against these guys. You can tell what they're going for. By the way, maybe that's the reason they got Dahaka.
That's the reason they got the what? I'm sorry?
The Dahaka pick.
Oh, sure. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Very thematic. And right away, I'm a Burb doing a nice job of kind of zoning and keeping vision for the team. He does get pretty well chunked, though. I like that response from the Gangstas, making sure to not let him have that vision for free.
Yeah, Diablo early is a little bit weaker, so you definitely have to be somewhat cautious with him before you get your traits stacked up a bit. But looks like he's doing okay for now, just kind of disrupting the rotations and using those fire stomps to stay healthy.
Now down bot, we've got the matchup that we're going to see pretty much all game. There's a tongue coming in from Icon, but Leo seems to be getting the better of this exchange for now, Rabbit. Is that going to change over time, you think?
I don't think so. In my experience, Leo has a pretty favorable matchup into Dahaka. Dahaka can use his Burrow or his W to kind of dodge the spooky hand, but you can only do that really 1 out of every 2 spooky hands, and so Leoric kind of has an advantage there in terms of damage and healing into the Dahaka.
Icon does discover down on the bot lane that Ulysses had rotated down. Go ahead and get that camp, but he was on the point just a hair too late. Even so, Rabbit, I don't think he was going to be able to take that on 2v1.
No, it might have been a little ambitious looking there, but sometimes it's hard to see exactly what the situation is until you really get into the camp. So probably just doing his best to disrupt the camp take there, and it's kind of low though. I don't know how much they can do to really defend this push, especially with the Sylvanas empowering it, but it looks like she's going to rotate out.
And this is going to be the first opportunity for us to really see how this Li Ming can manage the wave clear here on this map. It does help out Icon quite a bit, but meanwhile up top, look at all the damage coming out. Jaina is going to fall to this Vala push, and just like that, there's our first blood of the game going over to the Gangstas.
Yeah, that was a comedy of errors, I think. Somehow the Vala got picked up by the Diablo and flipped into the team, and I thought she was going to die, but walked away with the White Mane healing, and then in response we see the Anduin Jaina go down.
Meanwhile, more focus onto Diablo as I'm a Burb. Gonna have to walk away. Li Ming has rejoined the team. And what I find funny about that, Rabbit, is it seems like the Gangstas did a nice job of kind of controlling that little skirmish. Even though they were down, Li Ming was down in the bot lane, so that was a 4v3.
Yep, a lot of return damage from the Vala and the Johanna.
Funko trying to get the cap. Right now, it does look like only the side of the Ferrets have enough gems in pocket that, actually, no, I take it back. Both teams now have enough. But it is the Gangstas that are controlling the rotation in the top here and have turned in all but 2 of those gems that they need. for the first set of web weavers.
Yeah, Diablo looks like he's struggling a little bit to stay healthy here. He doesn't have the globe talent at level 1, so he doesn't get a lot of self-sustain from just the basic map rotations, and Anduin currently is on camp duty, so it's going to be hard for them, I think, to stall this much longer.
Yeah, I'm a Burb is stepping up, though, trying to get those fire stomps out. And there's just so much health for the side of the Gangstas to have to go through, but ultimately they are able to zone them out. I'm a Burb going to have to hit the B button, and this is going to be red web weavers coming out here for the side of the Gangstas.
Yeah, that's a good call. Just B and get healthy for the defense. Early web weavers, sometimes it's a little discouraging, but ultimately they don't necessarily do a ton of damage if you have good wave clear to defend that.
Meanwhile, a very aggressive rotation by Diablo here as once again the damage comes out, and right away I'm a Burb back down to half health. That is a tough spot for Diablo to live at for most of this game. Meanwhile, the Condemn comes in and is going to actually force out the Anduin pull to keep him alive here.
Yeah, Diablo did use the spell shield there too to mitigate some of that damage, but still having a hard time kind of keeping his health bar above 50%, it seems like.
Now there is the flip, but the charge going to be negated there by the Iron Skin from Mercs, and up top Ulysses going to clean up the top lane, but that is going to be the red Webweaver phase. As you mentioned, Rabid, not super impactful in these early waves, but got to give a lot of credit to the Ferrets for clean defense there.
Yep, cleaned up each lane, lost a gate top, a little bit off their gate in mid, and the bot wall I think took the most damage, but still relatively healthy tower down there as well.
Meanwhile, Jaja trying their best to poke here. And this is the one thing that Li Ming really does well on this map. It has the good interrupt ability. Kind of like on, it kind of reminds me of Alterac Pass, where if you just get Li Ming in the right spot, they can just literally block everything.
Good engage there from Diablo, though, with the help of the Water Elemental, and they pick up the Li Ming and the Johanna with the level 10 advantage.
Yeah, seems to me like I'm a Burb had gotten that level 10 and said, okay, enough of this interrupting. We're going to go ahead and secure these kills in this turn-in. Meanwhile, it does look like they are going to go ahead and slam those in. They've got nearly enough for 2, Rabbit. I think by the time this Web Waver phase is over, they'll likely have enough gems for an additional turn-in.
Yeah. A lot of them are on Leoric, though, and Dahaka's done a good job of stalling him from turning in thus far, so we'll see if Leo has a chance to get those in, or if Dahaka can continue to stop him there. But that Entomb might end Dahaka before he gets a chance to do that.
Yeah, the counter kill does come out onto Jaina. Jaina a little bit slower on that rotation to the bot lane, so the Gangsta is able to take advantage of that. But you mentioned it, that Entomb into the Diablo charge, kind of creating that artificial wall for him to slam Dahaka into, does get the pick down in the bot lane, so that's going to give the side of the Ferrets an opportunity to really push in this bot lane and give Leo control over this part of the map later in the game.
Yep, Johanna does still have less shield available too, so I think they have to be careful here. Set up some of these combos for, well, Li Ming's top, but for Vala to put in the damage and kind of push off this attack on the bot fort, but it isn't quite enough to save it.
And with all those gems dropped in the bot lane by Dahaka, right now it's only the Ferrets that will have the opportunity to try to secure a turn-in anytime in the near future. I'm a Burb trying to charge into the Dahaka, but he's just barely able to negate that angle and dig down. And for now, both teams looking like they're going to try to walk away. I'm a Burb is going to get hit by the drag, though, but there it is again. Tie-dye tights just there to get that pull out.
Yep, a lot of abilities kind of being thrown back and forth here, but there's the Entomb on the white main.
White main going to throw out hers. Wailing Arrow comes out. Vince Noir kind of low. The beam comes out from Jaja, but Vince Noir able to make it back out. And for now, both teams continuing to live through all these spent heroics.
Yep, Anduin still has his light bomb available, but most of the other heroics are on cooldown right now, so I think the teams have to kind of go back to soaking the lanes a little bit here. Ferrets do have enough to turn in again, though, so if they can get those gems, especially the ones on Leo turned in, they'll have another set of spiders to run down the lanes.
Yeah, Sylvan Anduin scored the turn-in the top lane, so that's about half of what they need. But yeah, you're right. 49 right now on the Leo, and about to pick up more actually. All these gem butts falling in the lane. You know, another skirmish down over by the bottom turn-in here. So both of these teams just kind of feeling each other out here in the mid game. I feel like nobody's really finding any confirmations of kills, but they are looking. It seems like they're constantly looking to make something happen here.
Hog onto the Jaina, but not follow-up damage nearby to really punish that quite yet. And Leo gets his gems in.
There you go. Enough distraction in the top lane that Icon took his eyes off the ball there, trying to get the drag onto the Jaina, and Leo able to get that. But there's an Entomb on two, but Jaja at least able to blink out, and Funko didn't really seem to mind it too much. A little bit of late follow-up there. Looks like they're going for that Hot Pocket combo, but there is at least the big light bomb, and Icon just barely living with just enough healing coming in, but Johanna not going to be so lucky. The counter drag going to come out, and Leo gets chunked down, but for now, it's a 1-for-0 exchange in favor of the Ferrets.
Yeah, another big team fight, a lot of heroics traded. A lot of damage came out from the Johanna with that Q build that she's using right now. Really chunking the whole group of the enemy team there, pushing into mid fort.
And so the bottom and mid fort's now gone for the side of the Gangstas, and now the rotation from Ferrets up to the top lane. They're going to go ahead and secure the third and final fort. And just like that, they've got themselves about a level lead right now. And not too much of a lag behind here in gems either. Soon they are going to have enough for their third turn-in.
Yeah, it looks like they just need 3 more waves, give or take a little bit. So they are working on their bruiser camp, though, at the same time, with kind of their main wave clear outside of Leo. So it may take a little bit to get those picked up, but their lanes are pushed out pretty far, so they should have good control over the turn-in points to dump those gems.
Right away, Ulysses rotating back to go ahead and grab the bruiser camp. Likewise, Bush Gangstas going back on the other side to do the same thing.
I think that's a good pickup, you know, if they're not going to be able to push the lanes out enough to contest the turn-ins, you at least can get your bruiser out there to keep mid lane pushed up a little bit for you.
Yeah, level 16s picked up by the Ferrets. So, by the way, we haven't gone over these heroics. It's been just non-stop action. The Ferrets went ahead and picked up the Water Elemental, the Entomb, Light Bomb, Wailing Arrow, and the Lightning Breath. Meanwhile, Gangstas picking themselves up Isolation, Blessed Shield, Disintegrate, along with the Haka going down. I totally missed it.
It was a little far out into the lane there, got rotated on by the entirety of the Ferrets.
But yeah, Rain of Vengeance and Divine Reckoning. There we go. But another big pick. 5-2 right now on the kill counter in favor of the Ferrets, and they will go ahead and secure themselves a turn-in down on the bot side, and well timed up with that camp in the bottom as well, Rabbit.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to push with that. They're grouping on bottom side. I think that makes sense, especially with the Sylvanas here. You can shut down some of the buildings or really siege into the fort with retreat, and hopefully be able to get some good value out of that camp pickup as well.
And meanwhile, Lightning Breath kind of used almost looking like a zoning tool there as they're waiting. And look at the sync up here. Right as the Siege Giants get here, the Web Weaver's going to drop right on top of this keep. Trying to isolate the Dahaka is I'm a Burb. Big damage, though, going down onto the keep. It looks like it is not long for this world. Tomb comes out, but right away they're going to back up here. And it looks like right now they're just poking for the keep.
Frontline getting caught, though. Leo lives with a hair of health.
Yeah, that was sub 100 for a moment there, but they are able to successfully defend the keep on the side of the Bush Gangstas.
Yeah, that's impressive. I thought for sure that was going to drop.
Jaja trying to clear up the mid lane, does manage to take down the Web Weaver, and Dahaka clearing up top. So it looks like for now, level 16s have now come online for the Gangstas, and they managed to save all of their keeps. They are still in this one, Rabid.
Yeah, they do now have access to the Manticore on the Vala as well, so it makes it a little bit easier to take out the Leo or the Diablo. Li Ming is Glass Cannon with magic missiles, so she's already been putting in a lot of damage as well.
Yeah, going that full Seeker build right from level 7, so... Oh, and then Tomb actually holding in the team away from Dahaka. That was unfortunate. Meanwhile, check Bush Gangstas on the pursuit here. Trying to find an engage here before level 20. But they are going to go ahead and settle for trying to get themselves a turn in. But a lot of poke, a lot of ability to interrupt this over for the side of the Ferrets. They don't need to hard engage this, but it looks like they are going to come in on the bot side of this team fight. But like they will disengage as the water Ellie goes down. Big damage coming in from Jaja to get that cleared.
Yeah, Leoric has Entomb back here in about 5 seconds, so I expect Ferrets to start looking as soon as that comes off cooldown.
And there it is. Like he is coming in from the bot side. He did step just far enough out of that to show. And right now, Joe getting a little bit isolated. Icon in there pretty deep. They're split up, but there's the double chastise into the Wailing Arrow. They're trying to pursue this. The charge into the wall, but down comes the ult from the white main to try to save Joe, and they are able to get the save and the turn. Look at the Bush Gangstas getting the double kill. Or, yeah, the double kill. Diablo comes back with the souls, however, but he is going to be much, much less sustaining.
Yep. Jaina, unfortunately, I think caught a combo from Li Ming. And the rest of the white main healing was able to keep the Gangstas alive, so that gives them access to this boss. They do lose their bottom keep, and there's a pretty good push there in the bottom lane, but they may be able to push with the boss here and at least pick up a fort to relieve some of this lane pressure.
Diablo trying to use that upgraded level 20 lightning breath to get the keep, and Ulysses is very low here. Looks like they're going to try to pursue that, but the chastise comes out. I think for now they're going to be able to save it, but red web weavers are coming down. They should be able to push these waves back out, and the boss still pushing up in top, still has about half health.
Yeah, it's pretty far pushed into the lane, so I think the Ferrets can defend what's left of that, or even ignore it at this point since it's pushed into the wall. I expect there to be kind of more of a skirmish here over the mid lane, but it looks like Bush Gangstas are going to force their hand up top. But without Dahaka, I don't know if that's the fight that they want.
Well, Dahaka does waddle his way on in, gets the drag onto Leo and the Li Ming combo. Gonna finish him off. I'm a Bird gets pulled back in and actually does get saved by Anduin. For a second there, I thought that was an insane save attempt, but was able to keep them alive. The Webweaver goes down in the top lane, but the Gangstas are still hanging around, trying to put the pressure.
Yeah, I thought the Tickle Beam from Li Ming might get the Diablo there, but it wasn't quite enough damage. But with the 5 of them here, they can still siege up a little bit into this keep if they want to, but it looks like with the poke damage coming out in return, they're going to back up and maybe cycle out to one of the other lanes.
And mid fort does end up going down, and the bottom fort is not long for this world either, so a bit of a equalizer here. Meanwhile, up top, the skirmishing continues as the Gangstas not really willing to back down here. They want to keep the Ferrets pinned and unable to clear those lanes on the other side, threatening the keep in the top lane, which is, of course, the priority lane where the boss runs down.
Yeah, the Gangstas are a little low on mana with some of their heroes, but they do have the heroic advantage with Leo having used the Entomb just now. He's got about 20 seconds before that'll be back up.
Wow, look at the turn-in score. They immediately run back do that turn-in. But the double chastise comes down, and I'm a Burb almost able to follow up on that. But for right now, 2 members are back getting the camp. It looks like they're going to go ahead and make their way back up into the lane, though. Big damage coming down onto Icon, and just barely getting caught in that Blizzard. Double Entomb coming down as Johanna and Whitemane will fall shortly after that to Haka. And now the damage coming down onto Vala as well with the quad kill. It looks to me like the Ferrets have this one in hand, Rabbit. They're going core.
Yeah, Li Ming can do her best to kind of put some orbs out there and try to defend this. Some of the members on the side of Ferrets are low, so if she gets a reset, that does give them some potential to defend, but I think as long as they stay split up and continue to drop their damage on the core, that's the end of this game.
Down to 50% already. The timer's still at 20 seconds or higher, and with that, that is going to... Oh, well, Anduin gets picked off, but that is still going to be game number 1. Going over to Business of Ferrets.
GG.
I was like, wait a minute, resets? No, it's too late. It's too late. So close.
And doing KDA, though. Down the tube.
Yeah. No! That was his only death the whole game, too. What a bummer.
Yeah. That's a disappointing one, really.
Yeah, that one hurts. But still, the blow softened by the win and the point they will pick up from that map number 1. 9-6 on the kill counter, so pretty even up to that point. You know, early game obviously dominated by Ferrets, but gotta give a lot of credit to the Czech Bush Gangstas. They really stuck in there and had a good comeback into the mid and even a little bit into the late game. I think it came down to that one team fight in the mid. They weren't quite able to stave off that engage from the Ferrets, and big team fight win in post level 20. That's usually the end of the game.
Yep. I think for Ferrets, a lot of the time they were the ones engaging, and a lot of credit to the Whitemane for being able to provide healing and keep people alive during those earlier engages throughout the game. But towards the end of the game, it seemed like Ferrets were being a little bit more proactive about looking for that engage, and if your team is kind of more focused on trying to dodge or avoid the engage, but aren't necessarily looking for one for themselves, I think you're kind of playing a waiting game at that point, and can get kind of tricky if the other team is looking to set something up with that Entomb.
Yeah, that Entomb, always so dangerous, but after level 20, it's just got that little extra spice to it that really makes it something to worry about with that buried alive. When Li Ming can't even jump out of it, nobody can use any of their abilities. It's rough.
Yeah, Whitemane in particular, since so much of her healing is tied to her damage, you gotta try to keep her out of there certainly as much as possible. And if she's outside of it, I think there's a chance they live, just given kind of how a lot of those team fights went. But with her inside of that, I think that really kind of sealed the deal for Gangstas at the end there.
All right, well, that will give the game number 2 option over to Czech Bush Gangstas. So we'll have to see whether they want to go with first pick here or with the map pick. Still a lot of good maps on the table. But while we go ahead and set up for that game number 2, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a few moments with game number 2 of this Division D East Best of 3 series. welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 2 of this best of 3 series going to be played out on Infernal Shrines. The Gangstas had the opportunity to pick between first pick and map pick. They, as you can see, did take first pick this round, just like they did with the win of the coin toss for that game 1. And Ferrets getting to choose the map again, taking us to Infernal Shrines. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rabbit, but I would say, just spitballing it here, Infernal Shrines, probably the most played map overall in NGS history.
It definitely could be. I think it's one of the more popular ones for sure. I don't know if I've ever seen or bothered to look up at least the stats on which ones are played the most, but I have a hard time thinking of another one that would maybe knock it out of there outside of maybe Towers of Doom.
That's a good one. Not a whole lot of people banning towers out there, but I'm always really shocked when I hear somebody banned Infernal Shrines, because everybody likes playing here. But either way, let's get on into the bands here. We got Johanna and Blaze being taken out from the Gangstas, and Ferret's going to stick with those Game 1 bans. They figure, we won Game 1 with them, why make any big adjustments? Take out the Rhaegar and the Genji, but there's our first big change-up of the game, as Leoric coming out for Icon.
Yep, Leoric definitely good on this map. He's pretty potent hero on the shrines, and also has the good wave clear to kind of double soak and keep your 4-man free to look at camps or do other things around the map.
Hell, it's about damn time.
You smell that, Rabbit?
I do.
It smells like Cho'Gall. But Hogger, I like the Hogger and Sylvanas pretty much insta-picked there by Ferrets. They really knew what they wanted out of this early draft, and Hogger's so good on the point. It used to be Sonya that I would say was the strongest bruiser, but Hogger able to clear that thing up so well now. But yeah, Ariel and Tychus. Ariel, a classic pickup to pair with the Cho'Gall. And what are two of the biggest counters to Cho'Gall, Rabbit?
Well, Tychus and Leoric definitely have access to percent damage, so those are common pickups into the Cho'Gall. I think some other strategies.
They didn't ban Malthael, so who knows?
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, they've already got Hogger, though, so maybe they wouldn't need to do that.
You can draft Malthael in the 4-man, but maybe less commonly done.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see. Two more picks coming up here for the Ferrets. Tassadar going to be picked up as the mage pick. Good wave clear. Good. Does actually have at 16 some percent damage in case this is what we think it might be. But Anduin going to go ahead and get scooped up again by the tie-dye tights. And those pulls last game were pretty influential, so why not roll it back?
Yeah, they did pick it in combination with the Leoric, so I'm a little surprised that Gangstas didn't ban the Anduin for their 3rd ban when he wasn't picked up in the 1-2, just to prevent someone inside the Entomb from getting yoinked out. But if you get a couple people in there, Anduin can really only pull one person, at least until level 16, so maybe it won't matter.
There you go. Meanwhile, final picks, ETC and Zagara. I mean, let's be honest, that's really just Cho'Gall with extra steps, right?
Yeah, you can split the hero into 2 separate bodies now. You can have a little bit more map presence.
I'm kidding, of course. Zagara, I really like the Zagara pickup on this map, actually. She's got great wave clear for the shrine, good vision control to kind of give you an idea of the rotations here on this very rotation-heavy map. Meanwhile, Anubarak going to finish out the draft here for the side of the Ferrets. So what do you think, Rabbit? Two pretty interesting drafts. A little more standard, I think, right, from the Ferrets?
Yeah, I'd say their draft is relatively straightforward. I think, Hogger's kind of the star of the show here on Infernal Shrines, so I would expect to see him have, a lot of value on the objective phases at least. Anubarak tends to... kind of be more of a dive style tank. He can peel, but I think it's maybe a little bit less suited to his kit, so I'm curious to see what kind of role he'll have. Cocoon though can be pretty impactful in the team fights either way.
All right, well, here we go into game number 2 on Infernal Shrines. On the left, we've got Business of Ferrets. We've got Vince Noir on the Tassadar. The Tie-Dye Tights going to be on the Anduin. I'm a Burb going to be playing the Anubarak. Ulysses back on the Sylvanas. And we've got Memzid playing the Hogger.
All right, and on the right we have the Czech Bush Gangstas. Katsuya going to be on the Ariel this time, Jaja being on the Zagara, Mercs on the ETC, Icon on Leoric, and Funko on the Tychus.
Uh-oh, Tychus falling a little behind here. No, okay, he's here. He's here. False alarm.
Just smoking that cigarette.
Yeah. Chomping down on that cigar, spitting it out as he runs on into the Nexus. I love it. Both teams going to go ahead and do the customary 5v5 at the start here, but Leo will go ahead and Wraith Walk his way out of that. But I'm a Burb. Not going to be so lucky. And you know what, Rabid? I believe that did also use the pull from Anduin. I saw the figure come out at least.
Sylvanas was split to bottom, so they didn't quite have all hands on deck for that. But I think Anu assumed he would still be okay just to step up and take that globe, but the power slide and the minigun from the Tychus was enough to really cause a problem for Anubarak. But luckily the death timers are so short, he is pretty much back to business.
Yeah, can confirm, by the way. That cooldown did go down. So that's a long cooldown, especially when it's used in vain for poor Tights. But both teams going to continue their rotations. First blood going over to the Gangstas, but ultimately not usually all that influential, as both teams going to go ahead and grab out their camps here.
Yeah, definitely a long cooldown, but I don't know that it's too impactful here in the early game if you're kind of playing safe and just looking for your camps. Hopefully they won't need it before the objective phase. ETC eating a lot of damage off that slide, though, and barely walks away.
He'll go ahead and use his tap, get some heals coming in from Ariel. So for Ariel, one of the things we always talk about with that pick is who's going to be your battery. So what do you think, Zagara? Oh, hold on, actually. We've got Engage on the bot side as the Ferrets were trying to get the camp out, but big invade coming in from the Gangstas, and they're going to go ahead and back up and seed the camp here.
Yep. Pull was used successfully that time, so was backup, fortunately for that Engage.
So who do you like as your battery here, Tychus or Zagara?
Well, let's check the damage stats. It looks like Zagara's got a higher damage right now, but I know Tychus has been rotating to mid to clear some of the camp, so it probably just depends on who's available. Late game, though, Zagara certainly can put out a ton of damage once she gets her % damage talents and some of her quests completed. So it'll be interesting to see if there's a lot of crown micro or if somebody kind of just gets that for most of the match.
Yeah, that makes sense. You would think Tychus, when he's got the minigun up, definitely going to have the higher output, and then maybe later. But it looks like the crown right now is sitting firmly on Zagara's head. But yeah, we'll have to try to keep an eye on that as the game goes along.
Some good creep being put down here as well, so there's some vision on the left-hand side here for the Czech Bush Gangstas.
Wow, Vince
kind of getting stuck in there too, unfortunately.
Yeah, got booped in a little too far there. And the wall just completely trapping him in. Meanwhile, a lot of low health bars, though, on the side of the Gangstas. Ariel seemingly having trouble getting enough energy to really be able to effectively keep the team topped off this early stage in the game.
Yep. Can be a little bit harder, too, when there's these little breaks in between the team fights and the assassins aren't pumping the damage out into the other team.
Big damage
now that
coming
I've thought about it a little bit more too, it is a possibility that they put the crown on Leoric once it gets to late game if he ends up going the auto attack damage.
Aha!
He can put out quite a bit himself as well.
I mean, if you really want to macro it, throw it on ETC right as he slides, and then. But no, I'm kidding. We are gonna have big.
We're not doing that.
Yeah, no, that's way too much work. Ain't no one got time for that, Rabid. But we are going to see the Frozen Punisher coming out successfully for the side of the Gangstas. Meanwhile, I'm a Burb going to escape there with so little health. And got to watch out. The jump. Is the jump going to come in? No. I was worried that the beetle was going to give vision.
Yeah, that would be rough.
That was...
Rail of the highest order.
That was almost our first super clippable moment in this match, but we are going to see the mid fort going down. There is the leap, though, on time of Burb. He's going to have to burrow charge their way out there.
The one time that full beetle build is an actual debuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons that so many players like this map is because the map objective is probably one of the most straightforward and predictable in the game. That everybody knows exactly what all three versions of that Punisher does, and most people that have played this game for a while know how to macro it correctly.
Yeah, it also helps that the objective actually does something, and you don't have to pilot it. So
There you go.
5 people who can fight around it, and you kind of have a 6th teammate for a little while. And like you mentioned, you know what he's going to do, how it works. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Meanwhile, we
Possibly
are...
an update going out of this camp, though, if a noob can get in position here, but it's like it's just a little bit too late to scout it out.
Yeah, Ferrets taking a look at it, but weren't going to hard engage unless they seemingly knew what was going on there. About a half-level lead right now for the Gangstas. They're about to get level 10. Looks like they're going to go ahead and continue to hang down here in bot while they let Leo do the double soak in the top 2 lanes. Both teams actually doing that, but here they come with the level 10s. Odin is out. And they're going to go ahead and siege into this bottom fort.
Yeah, relatively straightforward heroic choices, I think. The one that might be a little bit more surprising, I guess, would be the Nidus network. So Zagara looking for a little bit more of a global map presence versus the team fight Maz. So it'll be interesting to see how they decide to utilize that throughout the rest of the match here. Always nice, though, to have a spot you can go back to and get healthy mana right on the map and be kind of back to business with that.
Yeah, especially on this map where you know you've got these big sustained fights. But hold on, we've got big N-Gage coming out. Light Bomb gonna be able to save the tie-dye tights as he was stuck in the entomb there. Icon gonna have to Wraith walk away, but so many members low. In comes the mosh pit though as they attempt to turn on the side of the Gangstas, and they are gonna get a Nubarak from that. What a 3-man mosh pit coming in from Mercs.
Yeah, great turnaround there. You got to be always careful when ETC has that mosh up that, you know, if you're kind of zoning in on one target, that you're not too clumped and you still kind of maintain that distance. But a lot of the interrupt tools that they have are on their level 10s, and a lot of those were used in the initial part of the fight too to kind of try to secure some of those kills up front. So even if some of those members weren't caught, it's possible that that mosh still would have gone for its full duration.
There you go. Let's take a look at these heroics real quick. We already mentioned the Nidus network. We also got Mosh, Entomb, Odin, and Crystal Aegis. And for the Ferrets, it looks like we've got Black Hole, Light Bomb, that is Shockwave, along with the Wailing and the Web Wrap. While both teams engaging here, the tie-dye tights super low. Hits the Chastise, though, to survive with less than 100. Icon Wraith walking out with not much more health than that either. And so many low health bars as Merc's just barely going to make his way out. Odin not going to be able to save Tychus. That's going to be his full heroic cooldown, and he's going to have to go back to the Hall of Storms.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he would have made it out if he would have just kept walking. He just, I think, had the Tacit Tickle Beam on him. So he might have been okay, but hard to say. And kind of in the moment, sometimes that extra armor from the Odin can really make a big difference, but not quite enough to keep Tychus up at that point.
It's always my instinct when I'm on Tassadar and I'm in trouble. It's like, I'm going to go ahead and hit the Archon just to give myself the extra health and sustainability to try to live. Sometimes it pays off, and sometimes it really doesn't.
Sometimes it's just that imposing presence too. You know, you turn into this giant lightning ball, and maybe they'll run away.
That's true. Can't forget the intimidation factor. But here is the slide, and just the one-man mosh this time around. But the light bomb and the black hole both going to come out, and ETC is going to get blown up there. Meanwhile, the cocoon comes out on to the Ariel on the backside. Leo super low, trying to Wraith Walk out, and somehow makes it out with sub 50 health. Mario being pursued.
He does have the damage reduction on his level 13, so anyone he walks through while he's in ghost form does have their damage reduced, so it's possible that that was able to keep him alive. Generally not a fan of the talent, just because of the damage that you sacrifice by giving up access to the other talents at that tier, but it definitely may have kept him alive for that portion of the team fight there.
Oh, we do see Zagara splitting out and grabbing that bottom camp and getting some split push value during this phase as well, but the Nidus is going to fall here on the top as the Arcane Punisher capped by the Ferrets, and now they're pushing into this top lane. They're going to go ahead and secure the top fort, no problem, and right now the Gangstas trying to take down this Punisher before any more follow-up can come from the Ferrets.
Yeah, they did get a lot of value with the camp push in middle from the Zagara pickups there, as well as that push into bottom. So I think kind of making the best of a situation where they weren't looking to get the objective anymore off of that Tychus kill earlier.
All right, looks like we got a quick pause. Now jump back out to the map view. Looks like we've got a Ulysses DC. Well, let's take a look at some of these talents. Looks like we've got the extra pull, or no, the extra speed from Anduin with his enchanted boots. So as long as he's got at least one stack of the Leap of Faith, he's going to have that extra movement speed.
Mm-hmm.
Remorseless coming out from Sylvanas. Gotta love that. The extra attack range and the extra Qs thrown out. Been pretty much all Shadow Dagger builds, so I'm kind of surprised to not see them go with that Shadow Dagger at 13 for the the armor reduction.
Yeah, it depends a little bit on how you want to play the team fights and kind of what Sylvanas' role is in the team fight. If your role is primarily just to be kind of the sustained auto attacker, the Remorseless and the level 1 tend to be kind of all you need, really. And you do have Tassadar for the more AoE mage damage, so that's a build that I take fairly often myself, but I know some people prefer, I think, the E talent at level 7 when going kind of the rest of this build.
Yeah, my one big gripe with that E talent is that at that point you're using your main escape tool as an offensive tool, and that can be that can get you in some sticky situations sometimes. You don't have to obviously teleport with it, but then you don't have it to try to escape later.
Yeah, yep, agreed. So if you're not going the reset at level 13 on your Haunting Wave, I tend to not take that talent for exactly that reason, and just the W cooldown. Since you are auto attacking anyway, you do get value out of that, even though your W isn't necessarily getting benefit from like the level 1 talent. You're still getting more of them out, which is just more overall damage output.
That build is totally insane, by the way, with the wave reset, just teleporting all over the place, just queuing constantly. It burns mana like crazy, though.
Yep. Pretty much you get one team fight, and then you got a heart.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we've got Ariel going mostly with the sweep upgrades, but energized cord at level 7. You know what that tells me is that Ariel's not lacking all the faith in their battery, and they want to make sure that they've got some control over how much energy they are getting on their own.
Yeah, and that makes sense. We talked about kind of Tychus's damage being tied to the minigun, which is on a somewhat long cooldown or a medium-ish cooldown. And Zagara is also pretty cooldown based. Her autos don't do a ton of damage, so yeah, I think you could make a pretty good case for taking that talent in this situation, given those DPS picks. And then Leoric also did not go into the damage talents, at least at level 13, and presumably not at 16 either, so he won't likely be the late game battery that I'd referenced earlier.
Meanwhile, we got Zagara going a little bit more of a team fight oriented build with the corpse feeders, trying to get more health out of those roachlings during the team fight. Going with the serrated spines, so banking on getting lots and lots of auto attacks in throughout this game. So far has 36, so an increase of 0.2% damage. Hopefully going to grow over time. Halfway done with Bile Drop, so trying to get the additional Roachling out of that if they can get 6 more heroes hit with that ability, and then the extra healing coming from the Hydralisk with the transfusion, 60% extra.
Yeah, going the serrated spines with the Nidus network is a little bit, I guess, counterintuitive to me. I would assume, if you're kind of out split pushing using the Nidus network, that you won't be getting a lot of serrated spine stacks. So maybe the auto talent that lets you hit multiple things, kind of increase your wave clear and your split push value, to me would make a little bit more sense. But
I actually like the poison talent for myself. It kind of gives a balance because the poison can be really good in team fights when you're trying to focus down one target. But if you're split pushing, the cooldown's not super long, so you can use it on a building or on a camp to kill it quicker.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense. Or just increases your team fight damage right away. You don't have to stack it or anything.
Yeah. Ever since they nerfed the Baneling build, that used to be my go-to build on Zagara. That was always really fun, but they just slowly nerfed that into the ground, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think once Zagara started to be played at the professional level, and everyone was picking her and going the Baneling talents, then tipped them off that she might have been a little bit stronger than they initially thought.
Oh no! It looks like one of the players has let's see. Yeah, one of the players was unable to reconnect. So yeah, it looks like Business of Ferrets unable to get their Sylvanas back into the game, so they're gonna have to forfeit games 2 and 3.
Oof.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. Definitely never the way you want the night to go.
Oh.
Or either team, really.
Or for the casters, man.
Yeah. Not ideal for us either.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and update the board. Give the Czech Bush Gangstas the 2 wins, and I guess that's gonna close it out for us tonight, Rabbit. Sorry for the abrupt finish, but you know what? Let me go ahead and check real quick. We had been keeping our eyes out on the 7:30 game tonight, so maybe we can make up for our misfortunes by picking up one more to do tonight.
We can refortune.
NGS Reforged. Not everyone else is doing it, so why not NGS? Yeah, why not? We'll go ahead and last minute we'll pick up Lowered Expectations versus Cho'Gall Chocolate Factory. I don't know how I feel about that second name though, Rabbit.
Yeah, that sounds like a euphemism to me.
All right, well, we are going to go ahead and see if we can get a raid in here. for one of the other NGS games that are going on right now while I go ahead and set up for this next one. It looks like Beyond Gaming and Start Slow, then Taper Off are over there on Elite Pigeon's channel. Make sure that game is going full force. Nope, they are currently offline, it looks like.
Rip.
It could just be starting late. It had a scheduled to start 10 minutes ago, but let's see. The 6 o'clock game. How about we send it over to the Lime Bus? And another game starting at 6. I'll be able to confirm whether or not they're still casting after these messages. All right, everybody. Well, go ahead and stick around for whoever we end up rating. But thanks again, everybody, for coming out and watching. Sorry we couldn't finish off the show, but DCs do happen sometimes. Thanks again, Rabbit, for hanging out with me, and guess we'll see everybody in just a few minutes here in the next one.
See you then.